Hello, I'm Tom. This video offers some common sense about education. Why would you listen and watch? Good question. A jack of all trades might seem unqualified to some, though that's a fair description of me. As far as education goes, I'm not certified to teach, but I've been doing it on and off for 40 years. I gave my first lesson when I was 8. It was windsurfing, and I simply tried to do what the two young men who had done when they taught me. Their approach was hands-on, engaging and open, and that approach has stuck with me. So my learning teaching style is experiential and dialectic. It works. Since then, I've also taught business, IT and finance, mostly to graduates and professionals. I've also volunteered with a children's scholarship charity, Pestalozzi World. Another important influence has been being exposed to different cultures while growing up. That gave me an appreciation for diversity, which helped expose dogmatic tradition. Thank you also to Monty Python and others for helping there. Being exposed to new ideas, or the same ideas in a different cultural setting, helps us question the status quo, seek answers and consider others' views. Once I was a professional venture capitalist, and that job of due diligence is asking questions. So, although I am a jack of all trades, I've been teaching and asking questions about education for many years. In 1999, Pam, who's a qualified teacher, a yogi, and I set up Astria to focus on teaching, training and technology transfer. Since then, we've researched autodidactic opportunities in food, farming, building, finance, behaviour, systems and more. Recently, education has come under focused scrutiny for one reason. It is the best way to help civilization catch up with our space-aged technology and stop squashing each other and the planet. Why? Because if fixing problems was about technology, we'd have done that by now. We've got the technology. This video is closest to magic as you can get, isn't it? But our behaviour as a species remains unhealthy for the planet and for us. Answers are clearly available, and this presentation is a take on the issue. It offers a summary of important ideas presented in 3 main parts, indicated by one of the icons in the top right corner. First, a view of the current system from a general global perspective. Then, identifying how pedagogy and curriculum can be improved. Finally, action that can be taken by governments, educators and parents. I hope it will encourage everyone to invest more time and money in education. So let's begin. What's education for? Well, it should enable personal and social empowerment. It should nurture body, mind and spirit, skills, knowledge and emotion. Every person is different and we all have multiple aptitudes and intelligence, but combining individual excellence together with collaboration optimizes output. Does the education system work? Well, it's a lot better than it ever used to be, or centuries ago. It doesn't really quite work. It treats everyone the same and doesn't seem to give us some of the basic skills we need to survive these days. Students' potential is often restricted rather than nurtured, so children can't run around and explore, teenagers cannot question traditions, and young adults must choose a career before they've experienced life. Also, life skills are not addressed, so we don't really learn enough about food and health, exercise, money and politics, how the world works. And we don't really experience collaboration. So a doctor might not know how to cook or do his accounts. A cook probably doesn't know how to do their accounts. And nobody really knows how to change a plug. So, why doesn't the system fulfill its potential? Because education is depreciated. We even value guns before schools. Teaching and education are not valued by society. Schools can't innovate. Usually the bureaucracy decide what is to be taught and how it's to be taught. And there's social stratification, a division of labour, and a points or exams system which can promote apathy and self-depreciation, particularly among those who don't like exams and points. Overall, ethics can be neglected and traditions not questioned. Creativity can be muted and lateral thinking is just not allowed. Because we don't recognise the importance of education, it remains hidebound by tradition and unions. Public education emerged with the Industrial Revolution. It was like a factory: conformity, standardisation, mechanisation. They were processing batches of units. there was a focus on a standard product for army, factory, bureaucracy, where aspiration was replaced with rules, self-belief was replaced with mantra, and multiple talents were replaced with single focus. We were to be cogs in a feudal machine. Today, consumers of education are looking for customized, relevant solutions. There's an inherent public demand for literacy and numeracy for all, at a low cost. An industrial and commercial demand for creativity and initiative is not really being served by the institutional policy favouring science, technology, engineering and maths, without creative aptitudes. And parents and students are looking for personalised solutions. Active children need to run before sitting down. Some children want to read and count early, others late. And nobody wants to end up stacking shells for life. So there's increasing interest in homeschooling, unschooling, Steiner, Waldorf, nature-based experiences, Khan Academy, and so on. Importantly, also, the world has changed, and the education system must catch up. Technology is making humans redundant and eliminating jobs. Fewer people have the skills to live and work. At one end, illiteracy prevents participation in society. If you can't fill in the form, you don't get to participate. And dropouts drain society, whether they be living on social support or are incarcerated rather than made to be productive members of society, or at least given that opportunity. Our planet is becoming increasingly toxic, and that demands behaviour change. We must think and choose our future, or the system will implode. Enlightened values, nurtured by a full spectrum education, including ethics, can offer solutions. And also resource constraints, less money and less time, is demanding low-cost, high-yield approaches. Civilization's need for system enlightenment requires thinking, creative, social people. Thinking enables people to participate in society and to make choices. Following rules is not thinking. Interdependent people make better choices than a monolithic hierarchy with a king at the top, or a state. Solutions to problems demand creativity. Following traditions is not creative. Problems cannot be solved with the same thinking used when they were created. And finally, cooperation demands social skills. The competitive priorities of today's world destroy resources. Non-winners are wasted. We can look at the underutilised half of the population who needs to come and be recognised for the value they contribute. And virtual communities lack important aspects of enlightened behaviour. The face-to-face is very important for collaboration. So, in summary, while the education system is okay, there are rooms for improvement. We must recognise the problems, and the solutions are mostly common sense. We still don't value education. The system controls rather than liberates potential. It's a one-fits-all approach, ignoring life skills. Thinking is often penalised and creativity neglected. Collaboration is depreciated for the sake of winning. And there's increasing demand for cost-effective, customised solutions. And the big picture is that the disintegration of natural systems and human systems demands that we change our behaviour. Is it possible to adapt the system? Yes. And we know what to do. The laws of nature, the laws of the universe are understood. We understand everything from subatomic science to universal science. We understand energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. We know now that we're all connected on a physical and metaphysical level. And we can see that we are monkeys at a certain level, but we have a far greater human potential. The technology of education is also understood. The science of body, mind and emotion is studied in psychology, physiology, neuroscience and so on. We understand better how to teach. And the IT enables us to have low-cost, customized solutions. Even self-learning, autodidactic progress is possible, such as our ability to put on this media presentation. So we need to liberate education to realise everybody's potential. we can adapt the pedagogy to enable high educational yield and even self-learning. We must recognize that there are multiple intelligences, not just one type of intelligence, not just cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence as well. There are linguistic skills, mathematical skills, technological skills, emotional, spiritual, social skills. And then people learn in a multiple array of styles, from methodical study to audio and visual stimulation to experiential learning to storytelling. And we understand how the brain works, that it can change. That is learning. There are also specialist tools which we can pull on into the toolbox, such as teaching with immersive gaming, brain gym, and importantly flow induction, which is a design process to help make learning fun. Culture is critical to the learning process. Culture is key to pedagogy. And an inclusive culture nurtures self-belief, cooperation, and ethics. We can develop cognitive aptitudes with an academic process, but we should nurture behaviour with the pastoral culture. It should be open, although we would need manners for morality and rules for the system to be stable. We want to prevent exclusion and negative behaviour, so we want to be inclusive and positive reinforcement works. We don't want to be blaming people, but we must accept blame when we do things wrong. We must learn to say, I'm wrong, sorry. And we should be evaluated on a full spectrum of our activities, not just on an exam at the end of 10 years or a few exams. It's no good having winners. Ranking is okay, but the prize for being first should be its own prize, and it comes with the responsibility of helping other people. Engagement is the primary influence on learning, so we need to prioritize experiential processes. Humans construct knowledge individually. We don't take it in when we're lectured at. Repetition can reinforce particular pathways and get us into bad habits as well as good ones. It doesn't enhance thinking. Once we assimilate copying others, we're beginning to experience what we're doing, and we accommodate our experience to really learn as we make mistakes. So learning is an interactive process, and the culture in which learning occurs is part of that process. Educational systems, either at the small personal level or at the large institutional level, can be designed to induce flow, where the learner feels energized and involved and enjoys what they're doing. In flow situations, action and awareness are merged and they cooperate. Distractions are excluded and we lose our self-consciousness. The chance of failure becomes an opportunity, not a worry. So we want to create environments to stimulate the desire for learning and offer development challenges. A culture of engagement helps to promote flow. Clear goals every step of the way, focus learning. If we get immediate feedback, that helps embed the learning. And a balance between the skills we have and the challenges that are posed helps us feel progress. The sensory environment is important to nurture the desire. Homeschool is a convenient model for the system, especially for preteen development. It's reported that you cover the same material in only 2 hours a day. The student is fully engaged emotionally as well as being there and attending. It's paced by the student. Virtual tools offer a low-cost infrastructure, and the student is exposed to real-life activities, so the learning becomes meaningful, and they're supported by the teachers, the mentors, the parents. So the social engagement in the community activities gives additional diversity and builds a community conscience. And homeschool works. In America, you see the results are nearly twice as good, on average, from homeschool as they are from public school. And people who come out of the homeschool system tend to adapt very well to a wide variety of jobs and environments and situations. So pedagogy for enlightened civilization should offer personalized learning in a community of practice. It can be active, self-paced, supported by coaches and parents and teachers and professionals, and we can learn from one another. As far as the curriculum goes, we need to redesign it with a natural foundation. That's starting with the individual, as Socrates and Pestalozzi advise, and then expand from that base to the community and worldview. We need to understand ourselves so that we have a strong foundation. We need to understand about our own health, how we work, how our brains work, how our emotions work. And with that foundation, we can then better understand the communities we live in and the environment which we live off. We can explore the dynamics of work and play with a better understanding and an interconnectedness. Finally, we need to understand natural law, the whole system. We need to understand that this planet is our habitat and the choices that we make impact its viability. And we need a full spectrum of exposure from science to art, systems, behavior, to the metaphysical and the ethical. Curriculum can be age-appropriate, reflecting not just physiology but also culture. So you don't want to be teaching people who live in an Asian environment with an Anglo-Saxon model and vice versa. It doesn't make sense and it depreciates their self-belief. Start from the inside and work out. So let's let children be children. Let them have the mothering, nurturing environment of love and joy. Give them some boundaries, but give them forgiveness, and allow their intellectual curiosity to prosper. As they grow, encourage youngsters to explore and socialize, work together, engage in music and dancing, practice language, and maybe a little bit of reading and writing and counting if they want to. Help them work in small teams of play. Then, as minds grow, give them the tools to engage with the real and the natural world. Help them understand science, sports, ethics. Help give them greater detail on their emotions, on language and language of other cultures. And perhaps spend more time on reading and writing and storytelling. And give them group work to do. Help them learn to work together. Then, in the teen years, challenge young adults with real-world issues. Help them understand what money and banking is like. Help them associate with abstract ideas and difficult relationships. Give them a model UN to work with and help them face real challenges such as a financial crisis, an immigration crisis, a food crisis, a climate crisis. Give them the challenge in a safe environment. So, effective education overall demands a flexible, interdependent, experiential dynamic, and it's a lifelong learning and teaching process. Good teachers can be shared globally by IT, so everyone can have access to them. People can direct their own learning with the guidance and facilitation of public and private tools. Learning by teaching is best, so we want to help one another. And everybody in a community participates. The parents, the teachers, but also the professionals who can contribute to personal development. There may be fewer teachers who are supplemented with coaches and masters or mistresses of their trades. Everyone is a teacher and a student for life. So, to summarize what can be done, we can enlighten pedagogy and curriculum. The pedagogy is much to do with the culture. It should be inclusive, fun, engaging, customized and collaborative. And the curriculum needs to be a curriculum for life. It must be recognized that all is one. It must give us the skills and technologies to look after ourselves and to look after one another. And we must understand the idea of conserving rather than consuming and the cycle of life. What can we do? Governments and teachers can renovate education by taking a big picture perspective and taking responsibility for the change. The old system is centralized and scheduled and owned and closed and linear. It's competitive. It builds pyramids of power with a king on the top. It's about consumption and waste. It's very human-centric. It's monolithic, which is inflexible, and it subscribes to human law, which is fabricated. The new system that we need is distributed and real-time. It's shared, open, and it recognizes the circular nature of life. It's collaborative, it responds to networks, and we want to use and renew resources. It takes a universal view, and it's modular, which is flexible and adaptable, and it responds to natural law. To accelerate the change, tools, curriculum, network, and role models can be mobilized. We can offer access to curriculum and materials online, open it up. We can offer access to the tools of learning which enable the delivery of curricula. We want to offer local resources. If that is networking, great. If it's experience and internships, that's what we need. And we want to offer public examples of people who are choosing new ways of learning and the new models. Those results will help people convert. Parents, educators and governments can make the change happen now. Governments should look to proven models. Finland is a great example that many people refer to. Steiner Waldorf academies have a different approach which works. Khan Academy is very well reputed and is self-learning. And there are other resources which we can pull on. Governments have to fund learning instead of the military and other not so beneficial investments. And governments really have to pay and promote good teachers and remove bad ones actively. If students are allowed to participate in the evaluation of teachers, there is no doubt that 10% of them would be asked to find another job soon. That's unfortunate, but really it is the children who are being shortchanged in this equation. Schools can invest in tools to create diverse environment, exposing children to multicultural influences. They can be exposed to the full spectrum of learning opportunities, from music to art to science to maths. We want to engage children in real life challenges. Parents and schools can encourage a culture of engagement and an enthusiasm for learning. In summary, it's time to enlighten education. Traditional education is past its prime because it is standardized and inflexible in a very fast-moving world, and it doesn't help us understand the consequences of our individual choices. It has hindered the opportunity for us to embrace higher being. Pedagogy can be improved by nurturing an inclusive culture, allowing natural talents to flourish, and the curriculum can be improved by focusing on natural holonic technology, practical science, taking a universal perspective and underpinning everything with a moral foundation. And everyone can choose to make the change happen. IT has created opportunities and made the opportunities cost attractive. Governments and teachers can lead the way by taking responsibility for the future. So if we're going to behave differently to change the world, we need to change our values. And that can be done by nurturing a big picture education. I hope this has been stimulating. If you have any questions, please get in touch. And in the meantime, surf the wave of the future. Thank you.